Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Meet the Candidates. I'm your host, Kesha, Hoey, and we are here because there is an election coming up, August 5th, First Ward City Council, 34th District State Representative, 49th District State Representative, Genesee County Board of Commissioners, and also Register of Deeds. What we're doing today is we have Eleazar Barzart in our studios. He's running for the 34th District. Mr. Barzart, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure for being here.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good, on the campaign trail, I can imagine.
Yes, indeed.
Well, what we normally do with the show is we start out by getting a little information about you.
Okay.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about you that they may not know?
All right. As stated, my name is Eleazar Darnell Bazart. I am 30 years of age, married, 2 children, recently married.
Yes.
With 2 children. I am very active in the community. I work with the Urban League Board of Directors, with the Families of Murdered Children Board of Directors, Youth Violence Prevention Center. That's just a few, just to start us off anyway.
Okay. What is your current occupation?
Currently, I'm a zone facilitator with the Bridges to the Future before and after school programs.
Okay, so how's that working out for you? Any shining moments throughout that?
Yeah, it's a lot of shining moments throughout that. Just working with the kids in general, coming up with programs for them that addresses them and the needs that they have, and just opening them up to different things that they haven't seen before, like for instance skiing.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah, you guys took a ski trip, is that correct?
Took some kids to go skiing, and that's something they have never experienced ever in their life.
I haven't either.
Yeah, me either.
Well, do you have any political affiliations around this? Religious affiliations?
Yes, I attend Cathedral of Faith Ministries on Pearson Road, headed by Pastor Chris Martin.
Okay. Now, how long have you been a resident of the city of Flint and the county or the state?
Well, I've been in Flint, basically almost all my life, other than when I went away to college at Michigan State. Go green.
Go blue.
Yeah, other than when I went there, that's the only time that I've moved away, but for the most part, I've always been here.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about your college background?
Yes, I got a BA in philosophy. Also, I have a minor in music, a minor in communications, and a specialization in bioethics, humanities, and society.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I tried to make my time worthwhile.
Of course. Now, I understand that you have worked in Lansing before you have done some job. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I worked with the Library of Michigan. It's the state library, and I worked in the Government Documents Division. And my job primarily was to work with legislation and every single bill that came through there, the House and Senate bills, to go through them, kind of look at them, see what they're about, and also put them together to be binded together. So that's I guess that's kind of where the bug bit me at.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can imagine. Now, for the people who don't know, state representative, we know we elect them, but what do they do? What capacity would you be working in if you're elected?
Basically, they make policy for the state. Okay. And as a representative of Flint, I will bring the ideas or what Flint needs or Flint wants to the State House and represent them in that field.
Okay. Now, what legislation do you think most is important? Now, if you were elected to this office, there's obviously hundreds of things that are plaguing our city, our state. Right. What's the number one thing that you would do day of?
Education. Okay. I think education is the number one priority for this area because there's a link to everything. And education, I say education because the 67% dropout rate, even though me and you talked about that and the number may even be distorted. Right. So in this case, I'm going to bring it down to 50%. Okay. 50% dropout rate. Then you have the low MEEP scores and high crime and violence. Now, the link is with low MEEP scores and high dropout rate, they mean they've dropped out. They don't have a diploma and they can't read or write. Right. So, and in turn, they go to drugs or violence. And drugs and violence, they go to drugs to try to sustain themselves and or their families or whatnot. So by doing that, then also in turn with that comes violence. And then that's why we are ranked the 3rd most dangerous city in America. Also, we are ranked the 3rd worst place to start a business. So what company, I know if I had a company, I wouldn't want to come to or invest in an area where can't nobody read or write, majority of people can't read or write, drugs are high, and they even told me that this is one of the worst places you will go to start a business. So once we start educating our kids to get that dropout rate down, we have to come up with alternative curriculums other than just college prep. Because as everything moves towards college prep, the dropout rate can just get higher and higher. So if we can come up with alternative curriculum, say for instance, they can learn a trade or job skills or something like that. That can turn into a decent paying job where they can support themselves and their family, and or it may turn into an entrepreneurship. that they can actually start a business here in the city. So once we start to educate them, then the crime and violence will start to decrease. The MEEP scores will go up, and then hopefully we can have some businesses come here to create some jobs.
Okay. Now, certainly, you have a grassroots campaign, door to door.
Yes.
You, as a proposed legislator or possible legislator, you're taking what you think is the biggest problem. As you go door to door, when you talk to your constituents, what is their main focus? What is their main issue?
A lot of them, jobs and education. But once I address to them the link, how it is linked, they start to see that and say, okay, yeah, maybe you are right. And maybe it is education. And once we start on that, then the jobs will come. Because like I said, like the same question I posed to you, once I present them to them, I'm like, now, if you had this business, would you want to invest in this area? And 9 times out of 10, they said no. Okay. So that shows that education is the key.
His answer. Well, I talked to your opponent. I interviewed Mr. Stanley.
Okay.
He discussed term limits. He feels that you don't have enough time as a legislator to be in office. Brenda Clack is bound by term limits. How successful do you think she has been? And if you feel like she's been successful or has not been, do you contribute that to term limits?
Term limits. I'm not very supportive of term limits either. Okay. Just for the fact that you are limited in what you can do. Most people, they get in there, they have a learning curve that they have to overcome. And then once you overcome that learning curve, then by the time you really get down deep into what you want to do, then you basically got to get up out of there. Not to mention the time you got to spend campaigning up between there to make sure you get reelected. As far as Ms. Clack, she's done okay. I figured there's some other things that she could have done to progress along, like introduce more bills, or instead of just supporting a lot of them, but introduce more bills. But for what she's done, I think she's done okay. But again, term limits, I think we need to really relook at that situation.
Okay, all right. Now, experience-wise, anyone running for this office, what do you think are the fundamental skill sets that someone would need running for this office?
Leadership. Okay. Leadership. But not only just regular leadership, proven leadership, and the ability to get people together, to work for a specific cause or whatnot. I think I hold those leadership capabilities. Also, I believe I have some of the experience going into there. I know some of my opponents brag about that they can just jump right in and then get to moving. And I feel I have some of those same assets. And it's not a big learning curve I will have to overcome. Because like I said, I've been in Lansing and I've worked in government documents and things like that. So I will be able to address some of the issues as soon as I get in there.
Okay. Now, back to Brenda Clack and Woodrow Stanley County Commissioner, State Representative.
Right.
There's been some controversy surrounding this, where people are saying, oh, they're flip-flopping offices. This is kind of like the same politics warmed over. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I feel that it is I feel it's a disrespect to the people. I feel it's a disservice to them because they are, in a sense, monopolizing all of these positions. Because some people can argue that Ms. Clack hasn't done anything and that Stanley hasn't done anything in the positions they've been in the last 4 or 6 years. So what will they do in turn by just flip-flopping and then going into these positions? Are they going to do the same thing? But in turn, we need to open these positions up for new leadership, because last 10, 15, 20 years, a lot of these names have been running the city. And the city hasn't really gotten better. I mean, we got the lights up downtown. We got the Flint vehicle city downtown. But for the most part, we still battling crime in high numbers. We still, dropout rate is still continue to grow. Jobs are still leaving. So nothing has really improved